First of all, I just want to thank you all for joining us today. I hope you and your families are staying safe and healthy during this time. It's great to see your smiling faces. We've been missing you all, so it's great to see you. We're ecstatic for games to be starting and for the opportunity to represent Penn State on the court again this season. Now more than ever, we realize how fortunate we are to be able to wear the jersey and represent Penn State. I want to start by thanking our athletic department and our administration and all those who have been involved with the return to sport during this pandemic. The amount of work and time that has been put in to keeping our team and our staff healthy has been nothing short of amazing. And these challenging times have absolutely shown how our one team family came together, has risen above, and given our students a chance to fulfill their dreams. So we are forever grateful for the opportunity and all the sacrifice that have been put in for this season. Our thoughts will also always be with those directly affected by the pandemic, and we send our well wishes to all of you and your families as well. I'm thrilled to have the chance to talk to you about our new team. We have so many new faces, and I'm confident our Penn State fans are going to fall in love with this team, their toughness, and their resiliency. I've been incredibly proud of this group's sacrifices and commitment to making this season a reality. Our team has been working extremely hard this offseason, and I've been amazed at how quickly our chemistry has been formed with this new group. We have 16 incredibly unselfish players who are buying into our mission, our vision, and our core principles every day. To start with, I'd like to focus on our three returning players from last season: McKenna Marisa, Anna Camden, and Shay Higgins. These three have been amazing culture drivers for our program and have worked tirelessly to transform our standards on and off the court. McKenna returns after having a great freshman season as our leading scorer. I'm so excited to have her thrive this year. She looks like a completely new player. Her confidence and poise are a major factor for that and her improvement. She's shooting the ball well, her range has increased, and her decision-making is night and day from last year. Anna has had a tremendous offseason. She's been driven from our last game to improve not only for herself, but this entire program. She's been focusing on improving her overall offensive skill set and bringing the juice on the defensive end. And Shay has really come into her own. She's being vocal not only in workouts, but also in huddles. Her shot has become more consistent and her body is in better shape to be able to handle the rigors of the Big Ten season. In addition to our three returners who played last season, we have Kelly Jaycott, who will be eligible to play after transferring from Villanova this past year. And obviously you guys saw her on the bench last year, but now you actually get to see her in uniform. She adds a level of postseason experience that is much needed. And I had coached against Kelly for 3 years, and I now feel very fortunate to be in the gym with her every day and the opportunity to coach her. She's been a joy. She's playing the best basketball of her life. She stretches the floor and has the ability to also attack off the bounce and get in the paint. Her basketball IQ is off the charts, and that's been a huge difference maker for our young squad right now. And Nia Staples, a transfer from West Virginia, who you also did not get to see last year live, but on the bench as well. She'll be eligible to play this season and will provide a depth for us in that backcourt. Brittany Gore is another transfer from Cleveland State who will add immediate low post presence that is drastically needed for us. She has had her best 2 weeks since she's been on campus as of late, and I'm really excited to see how she continues to develop. She was a double-double threat in junior college, so I know that will definitely help us in terms of being that paint protector and grabbing rebounds for us. Two more additions that were also added this offseason as transfers was Janasia Cash and Nia Beverly. We're currently uncertain of their eligibility status, but we hope to hear soon. But either way, they've been vital parts of our team and will continue to push this program forward. And finally, you have our freshmen, our class of 8. This group was a top 20 class. They're hungry to make their mark. We've added depth in our backcourt as well as long shooters who can really stretch the floor and play multiple positions for us. I'm personally thrilled of the changes and growth that our program and our staff has made in this first year. I know we're in a great spot culturally. Our mindset and our daily approach has drastically improved. And just the overall energy in the gym is like a brand new program. We all can't wait to get out there and showcase the work we've been putting on in this offseason. And we understand the process is the most important thing right now, but we know if we continue to do things the right way, the results will come. So I know we got lots of new faces, so I wanted to kind of highlight a little bit of some stuff, but I'm open for questions for anything anyone has.
Thanks, Coach. We can go ahead and start with Philip.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
You're good. Hi,
All
Philip.
Right. Hey, I wanted to ask you, you touched about all the new faces. What's the process been like of building chemistry, building a foundation to this team with all these new elements during a pandemic?
Yeah, it's been unique. We've been creative. My staff has been phenomenal. I give a lot of credit to the players. They've bought in immediately. We're doing a lot of stuff off the court. I think that's helping. And right now, really the people that they can hang out with right now in our bubble are each other. So that's been a blessing for them to be able, especially now with antigen testing, to be able to hang out a little bit more off the court together and be able to come and have family meals together and dinners now. In the beginning, it was a little hard because we weren't able to, but now as we've kind of gotten the season, the chemistry has just even flourished. We've done exciting stuff like Blue White Week, where we've competed and they've had teams. And we've just been really trying to be creative as a staff and challenge them in little ways that they can build their camaraderie and their chemistry.
Peter Terpstra, aka Tiffany Rizzo.
Yeah, sorry. I had to scramble to get a laptop.
You're good.
So I'm logged in as someone else. It's going to be very confusing. Coach, so you mentioned bringing in a lot of new faces. How did the pandemic affect that? You obviously had to do a lot of recruiting with a lot of turnover this year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, our staff has been grinding, absolutely. And I'm very proud of the work that we've put in and the pieces we've been able to put in play here at Penn State. And I feel really great about our roster and our depth. For us, it's been unique times and not being able to have people on campus. And we've recruited some people just off virtual tours and virtual presentations. So we've been having to really rely on our IT department and our creative services department. So it's totally been a team effort. And I give a lot of credit to not only my assistant coaches, but our entire support staff for helping us out, because everyone has been all hands on deck for these new unprecedented times, no doubt. I have a question for you though. Why not Winston as the name?
Oh, it's like an IT thing. I'm not set up on this laptop. So I have to go with someone who's Tiffany.
Got it.
So Winston can't type. That's where we're at. He's big though. He's like 40 pounds now.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's probably the creamery ice cream.
Yeah.
Still my favorite interview of all time. Justin, go ahead.
Hey, Carolyn, good to see you. It's been a while. In terms of strength and conditioning, where is this team where it was? Because I know you were really eager after your first year to get everybody kind of in line and in check. And I know you've got a great staff. So where is everybody strength and conditioning wise? Like you mentioned Shea Higgins, I see in the pictures on Twitter, she looks like lean and muscular, a whole new person. So how has this team developed for the style that you want to play, Carolyn?
Yeah, our whole staff, including Reed Davis, our strength and conditioning coach, have been working tirelessly since that Big Ten game, last year, and really have been committed not only to their conditioning, but our nutrition, our sleep, our recovery, and how we just approach our training. And you're right, they look like new players. Their energy, their stamina is night and day. Shea, for instance, is someone that, is very fast. And she could play in small stretches last year and then would kind of fizzle out a little bit with her steam. And now she's able to go long stretches and play at the speed and the pace that we need her to. And I think, you talk to someone like McKenna and she understands now what taking care of her body looks like being a sophomore versus a freshman. So I think that's going to be a huge factor for us as we come into year two as a program. And as some of these players come into their sophomore season, and then they've been able to help the freshmen and help them along. And then since we got Reed to work with our program in, this middle of the year last year, she's made a drastic change in everything that we do.
And are there any like hard statistical goals that you have? Obviously, you want to improve and build a culture. You're still building a great foundation. You've done amazing things in a year and a half. But are there any hard goals like we want to do X, Y, and Z other than winning?
Yeah, obviously starts with culture there. That's not something that you can put a stat on for us, but living above the line, we talk a lot about as our program. So that's first and foremost. But in terms of hard stats, as we're all media and broadcasters and coaching and love the analytics side of things. But first and foremost is going to be our defensive field goal percentage. We got to get that down and be able to stop people in the paint, not give them such easy opportunities around the rim. So that's going to be number one. We've been spending a ton of time on defense in this offseason. And then number two will be our assist to turnover ratio. That was, our Achilles heel last year. And as you have a young team and you're trying to learn how to play fast, that's usually the case. But even just seeing how much our sophomore guards have transformed into decision-making will help. And then you bring the experience of a Kelly, of a Tova, of an international guard to come in. And it's just night and day for us in terms of the on time, on target passes and sharing the basketball.
And last one for me, what'd you learn about yourself during quarantine? I mean, when there's just so much time to reflect, it kind of punches us all in the face right after, we were in Indianapolis. What'd you personally learn about yourself when you're dissecting film or about your own personal well-being?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, organization. Organization is the key to success. And especially right now during this time, in order to keep yourself organized, to keep your program organized, to keep your players organized, that's the number one key. Because you wake up and you're working from home, or our players are doing school from home, and pretty soon the day can get by them if you don't stay committed into a routine. So I think for myself and my players and our staff, we're learning how important routines are right now.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Justin, Jake, you can go ahead.
Sure. So, Carolyn, I know first year at Marquette, you guys were 9-22, went 14-6 the next year, and sort of had gradual improvement every year that you were there. Obviously, with the way last year went, how did those experiences of, gradually improving every year, how are you carrying that over to this year? And what did it teach you about the need to be patient in all this?
Yeah, great question. I think that's the key, right? Is you're not going to turn a program overnight and win a national championship in 1 year. And Rome wasn't built in a day. And I've had now experience of being an assistant at Miami and returning that program from worst to first. And same thing now, we did it at Marquette. We went from worst to first, and that's what we're planning on doing here at Penn State. And it's about habits. It's about culture. It's about getting, the right team and the right staff to do the task and to care more about, the mission than emotion, and more about we than me. And I think we've done a great job of that in terms of lining up the pieces to the puzzle that we need here. And now we start chipping away one day at a time, 200 feet, and the results will come. But you're right, patience is key, and process over outcome definitely as you're rebuilding.
Joe Putnam.
Hello. You're going to hear a phone in the background. That'll be picked up by somebody else, but good to see you, Coach. I know it's been a while.
Absolutely. Good to see you, Joe.
Wanted to ask you about actually off the court, because obviously over the past few months, the cause of social justice has been big, and up and down the roster, it seems like everyone from the coaching staff to the players to the support staff has really bought in and try to become a leader in to ignite the change. How much pride do you take in that as a head coach?
Well, at the end of the day, right, our number one goal is to help our women become the best versions of themselves and live a lifetime of impact. And for us, the wins will come. And as long as we're creating a platform for them to be the best versions of themselves every day and to make their team, their community, and eventually those around them and the younger generations better, that's what it's all about. So for me, I'm just so proud of our players and what they've done and what they've come together to accomplish. Obviously, the work is not done and we're just beginning, but the conversations that our team has had have been so special and so powerful, and it's come from them. My staff is helping and they're engaging and they're in the fight with them. But these are very sharp young women who want to impact and want to ignite the change, as you said. And it initially came to be that on the 5th of every month, George Floyd wore number 5 in college. This was his basketball number, that we were going to make action items and purposeful steps towards change. And our players have really bought into that. And it isn't just a one-hit thing for us. We've been talking about it every month, and our players all come up with different things to add and different things to bring to the table. And we've been trying to involve other teams in that as well. And I'm just extremely proud of what they're doing, not only here at Penn State, but for the community.
Thanks very much, Coach.
Absolutely, Joe.
Peter?
Here we go. If there was like maybe a couple lessons or an overarching lesson you learned in your first year coaching in the Big Ten, what do you think it would be?
I mean, first and foremost, in preparation is everything, right? You have to be prepared, especially through the rigors of a Big Ten season. And, relationships are everything. It's always hard your first year when you come in and you take over a program that you haven't had time to build authentic relationships with, and that trust is built up over time. So for us, obviously knew as a coach and been through it once at Marquette, how important relationships are and trust is, but just that reminder, that everything that's ever been done with successful teams comes back to the trust in the locker room. And it comes back to the time that you spend with the players in your office and off the court and on the court. And I'm excited because we've had a year to build that trust, and we've had a time to now build relationships. And I know that will pay dividends and carry over immensely on the court.
Jake, go ahead.
Sure. So, Carolyn, we talked about this in the past. You being, again, going back to the social justice thing, being a white coach in a sport that's predominantly populated by Black athletes and other athletes of color, do you feel like this time period has caused you to realize, hey, I really need to focus on just listening and learning about as many different experiences as I can? Because, again, it's about more than just these athletes as athletes. It's about them as people.
I mean, absolutely. And it's absolutely more about basketball, right? And we have a thing in our program called Pride Time. So every day we spend 1% of our day talking about things that have nothing to do with X's and O's. It's 14 minutes and 24 seconds of your day is 1%. So we are very purposeful about talking about social justice every day, or talking about professional development, personal development. And I cannot run those sessions to the best of my ability if I don't educate myself, or I don't listen and I don't engage with my student athletes and make sure that I've prepped myself to the best of my ability as I'm learning at the same time. But that's really important for me, to be able to educate myself and create a platform for them to improve their overall, well-being, and also help with equality. But first and foremost, it is about listening. It's about being an advocate for my players and for the community, and making sure that they know that no matter what, we have their back, and we're going to help in any way we can to fight for social justice and equality.
And to that end, I know Anna Camden spoke to the Board of Trustees along with PJ Muster. The fact that she, potentially went out on a limb, spoke to obviously a very important and influential group of people. I mean, how important is it for you that, your athletes know that their voices matter in this community, and that, they know that their voices are going to be heard and taken seriously?
I mean, it's everything. It's why we do what we do, especially during these challenging times that are happening in our country right now, for them to believe and have the confidence that their voice matters, whether, they're a white female or a Black female or Puerto Rican or from Sweden, it doesn't matter. They have the confidence and they have the platform to ignite change and have their voices heard and be a part of something special. And we have such a diverse group in our program. And this is so amazing to go through a situation and times as a group where you pull together and you lean on each other. And I'm extremely proud, not only of Anna, but our entire team. And like I said before, the fight's not done, and we'll continue to do it every day. But I'm proud of the steps that we're making and the impact that we're having.
Pat Tataro.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for taking the time. I just wanted to ask, I feel like it's sort of easy to take the ability to play and coach a sport for granted. And obviously, there was a time during this offseason when you didn't even know if you were going to be able to coach or have your team play basketball. So can you sort of speak to the sort of appreciation that your team has gained throughout this whole process for just simply playing basketball?
It's pretty hard to put into words, honestly. We've had so many conversations on Zoom before we knew that our season was going to even happen, or if there was going to be a chance of it, of 200 feet one day at a time. I step back, and right now we're 11 days or 8 practices away from our first game. I think 8 practices away from our first game, and just seeing their happiness level and their juice level day by day, it continues to grow, and I can just tell the excitement rising. So for me, I know that they're feeling like it's coming and that the wait is over. So I can just tell that there's a weight lifted off of their shoulders right now, and they've been nervous about it, as we all are. But it is more than basketball. And I think basketball is a big release for them as being student athletes. So for them to be able to practice with each other every day, and they all have their stress of COVID and the stress of social justice. So for them to be able to come together and have basketball be the common thing that's pushing them through these times is huge for them. And I, can't thank the administration enough and everyone that's put their efforts into making this happen, because this is going to be something that our players will never forget, and you never want them to lose out on an opportunity to have the best years of their life.
Thank you.
We have time for 2 more for Coach, so we'll start with Justin and then we'll follow with Jake. Go ahead, Justin.
Thanks, Chelsea. I want to get back to recruiting during a pandemic, Carolyn. It's got to be just otherworldly and mind-blowing. Do you have any specific anecdotes about how you pluck these amazing young women? I mean, you're getting people like Niam and Janasia and Tova from across the country without showing the beautiful campus that is Penn State. Like, what were the specific anecdotes? How did you even find them other than like Google searches? What exactly happened there? I know you have a lot of contacts, but how did this all come together?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with recruiting contacts. Thankfully, Niam, we had recruited heavily at Marquette. So we had a previous relationship with her and her family, and things work out the way that they're supposed to in the long run. And the universe is small, and so thrilled that she's here. Tova came from one of my former players that we've coached, playing professionally over there in the same league. So when you start to just kind of, basketball is a very small world, and your connections and the word of mouth and starting to have, recruiting conversations about this. And then obviously film is a huge thing for us right now. We're not able to go and watch games in person right now. So our staff has been tirelessly watching videotapes. I had to go to the eye doctor again last week because I'm pretty sure my prescription has changed drastically just by squinting at the screen over the last year. But it's a lot of time in front of the computer, a lot of time talking to coaches and asking the hard questions. Right now, if we're not able to see their work ethic in person, then we have to ask their circle of influence, and we have to dive deep into the questions about what's going to make them the right fit for Penn State.
All right, go ahead, Jake.
Just 2 quick questions. First one, obviously I know the Big Ten up to this point hasn't put out a schedule. What is training like without knowing and being able to prepare for specific opponents?
Well, right now we haven't started particular scouting yet. So for us, we're working on our team, and we're scrimmaging against ourselves and our practice squad every day, and going against different defensive coverages and practicing against different particular sets. So for us, it doesn't change right now that we don't know our opponent. That would be pretty normal right now in this circumstance. But in about a week, when we start to hopefully roll out our schedule, that will change, and we'll start into our scouting, into terms of in-game adjustments and all that. So right now, a lot of inter-squad scrimmaging and a lot of fixing and a lot of teaching and a lot of tweaking.
And, you look at, the roster page this year, and I think there are only maybe 3 or 4 girls who are listed as forwards on the team. Is there a desire this year to play smaller ball like, you're seeing in the NBA, or, what's sort of the rationale behind that? And I guess similarly, in terms of a roster composition standpoint, when you're trying to build a program, how important is it to, build from the ground up and to bring in transfers and strike that balance?
Yeah. We'll start with your first one. We're absolutely going to play positionless basketball. That's kind of always been my style as a head coach anyways. And now that it's more so transforming that way in the WNBA and the NBA, it kind of fits to what we do, and stretching the floor and having 5 shooters on the court at one given time. And it's worked well for a lot of programs, and it will continue to work well for us as we move into the future. However, when we have a low block post player, we absolutely want to use them and make sure we're playing inside, outside, and pack the paint as much as we can as well. In terms of your second question, which can you remind me one more time?
Oh, sorry. So, obviously you brought in a lot of transfers this year, but also a lot of freshmen. In terms of building a program, how do you strike that balance between building from the ground up and bringing in transfers?
Yep. Thanks, Jake. So obviously you want to try to balance out your roster in terms of classes. That's obviously important as you go forward in terms of depth and in terms of experience. The goal of college basketball is to get old and stay old, right? So, and now transfers is a big proponent of that as well. So I think our staff did a phenomenal job adding experience, and not only just experience, but postseason experience, and players who have been starters at their previous institutions to come in and step in and play major roles right away. So for us, that was important. But I think overall scale, we have our depth chart, and we're trying to balance that out as much as we can coming in. It's not always a perfect science during a rebuild, but we'll get it balanced out here in the next year or two.
Great. Thank you, Coach, so much for your time.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you guys. Can't wait to see you in person. Stay healthy.